SIP is a form of digital communication. To better understand it, we'll look at something that we're all quite familiar with: a conversation between two people. This is Alice and Jason, who are co-workers. Alice is working on a project and wants to ask Jason for help. The first step in doing so is getting Jason's attention, so she signals that she wants to have a conversation by using her voice. Jason uses his voice to let Alice know that he hears her and is willing to have a conversation. Once they have established a connection with each other verbally, they continue to use their voices to exchange ideas. When Alice has received the information that she wants, she signals that she would like to end the conversation. Jason confirms this by saying goodbye as well. This is similar to how IP devices communicate. But instead of using voices, they are machines after all, they send information to each other in packets of digital data. There are two types. Signaling packets are used to establish and terminate these digital conversations, which are actually known in the IP world as sessions, and media packets that contain the content of each session. This looks a lot like the conversation we witnessed between Alice and Jason. First, there's an invitation signal sent. Then once the other device confirms that it is available for a session, the two devices exchange content, which is carried in media packets. When this exchange is complete, an ending now signal is sent, to which the other device responds, resulting in the mutual termination of the session. Let's revisit Alice and Jason's conversation for two more key points. First, Alice knew how to find Jason so that she could signal that she wanted to have a conversation with him. If she didn't know where he was or how to reach him, this would have been impossible until she could determine his whereabouts. Second, they both knew that they could speak the same language. Let's say Alice speaks French, English, and Spanish, and Jason speaks Russian, English, and German. Since English is the only language that they have in common, that is what they would necessarily use in their conversation. These two key points are also important when discussing IP communication. IP devices use unique IP addresses to let other devices know their location. They also use codecs, which are essentially the languages they speak. Each IP device must know the IP address and codec of another device in order to carry on a conversation. But how do devices find these two crucial bits of information about other devices? Well, they use a protocol. And Session Initiation Protocol, commonly known as SIP, allows devices to do this perfectly. SIP negotiates, establishes, controls, and terminates IP communication sessions. For example, a SIP phone in an office building wants to use a SIP-compatible speaker in a remote warehouse to make an overhead page. The speaker's ID is 8183. Using SIP, the phone reaches out. I want to talk to 8183. I speak codec G711. A SIP server in the cloud negotiates the initiation of the session by reaching out to 8183. 8183 confirms that it can speak that language and is available to take the call. SIP then establishes the connection between the two devices. Once established, SIP essentially steps out of the way and lets these two devices share data with each other. SIP is also capable of some rudimentary control functions. If a special function is predetermined through programming, SIP is capable of sending a simple command to a device during an active SIP session. SIP also handles the termination of a session by confirming that both parties are disconnecting. In summary, SIP is a protocol used to negotiate, establish, control, and terminate an IP communication session. So at this point you may be asking, so what? Well, let's take a look at a situation where SIP can be used for an overhead paging application. Most paging systems are typically connected directly to an on-site telephone system by a hardwired connection. A user can pick up their phone, dial a certain code, and make a page over the speakers. However, many organizations are upgrading to hosted voice-over IP phone solutions that do not use a physical connection but communicate via the cloud. With no physical connection, the overhead paging system becomes inoperable until we can provide a way for it to communicate with the VoIP phone system. That's where SIP comes in. By integrating a Valcom IP gateway, the VoIP phone system can use SIP to communicate with the paging system. On a larger scale, SIP enables many devices from different manufacturers to all function together. It is an indispensable tool for allowing IP devices to communicate between buildings, across campuses, or around the globe.